Every AI worker we build needs to do real work. And that means connecting to real systems, your CRM, your ERP, your internal databases, third-party SaaS tools, whatever your business runs on. And that's why we built Universal Connector. It's how EverWorker talks to your world. And there's three ways we make those connections possible. It's via APIs, via MCP, and via webhooks. So let me walk you through what that means in practice. So there's three connection types that are possible today. The first is APIs. So that's where we're seeing API providers here inside EverWorker. And this is the most common connection. So if a system has an API, and 99% of the ones that you're going to be using in a day-to-day basis do, take your Salesforce, HubSpot, ServiceNow, your own internal apps, Universal Connector lets AI workers talk to it. And what they can do is read data, write data, trigger actions. It's bi-directional and fully authenticated. So think of it as AI workers being able to execute anything that's possible inside the application and executable today. Now, the next way to connect is via MCP servers. Now, that means Model Context Protocol. And what this is an emerging standard for giving AI agents and AI workers structured, safe access to tools and data at runtime. And instead of hard-coding API logic, MCP is emerging as a popular option because it lets AI workers discover and call capabilities dynamically. Think of it like a universal language or translation layer from API to AI agents. It's just another nice way to integrate AI into your systems. And that's why we enable it inside EverWorker. Now, the third option is webhooks. So webhooks are a way systems can talk back to your AI workers. So triggering different workflows and events. Think about a deal closing in Salesforce or an invoice being approved in NetSuite, a ticket being escalated in Zendesk. Webhooks let those events trigger an AI worker automatically. So there's no user needed and no manual handoff. The work just starts when it should start. So as you're connecting AI workers into your systems of record and execution, it's important that you govern their usage. So we enabled and set up governance capabilities right inside Universal Connector. So there's two types of connection access that you can create through this. And those options are user-based role access or app token-based access. Now, how you do that is I'll show you live here. Let's go ahead and connect into, let's say, HubSpot CMS API. And now I'm going to pick authentication mode, right? Now, when would I use each one? Well, I would use user authentication, which is a connection authenticated as a specific user with that user's permissions. And I would use this when I wanted AI workers that would operate on behalf of someone with a human in the loop component. So the same guardrails that would apply to the human inside the system would apply to the AI. This is great for, say, agents and AI workers that you want to give to your sales team or your marketing team for them to query and chat and have it take action in systems of record on their behalf. That controls the scope of what the agents can do to what the person can do in the system. Very safe, very effective. The other option, token-based access. When would I want to use that? Well, that's a service level credential and it's not tied to any individual user. So what that lets you do is have an AI worker with its own identity and its own defined permission scope, just like any other application integrating into your systems. This is great for autonomous, always-on workflows. So the reason we enabled these two connection options is that the reality is that the most of the AI workers your team are going to deploy are going to be always on. And that means no one's invoking them manually. They're going to be running on a schedule or triggered by an event, and they're going to be executing autonomously on your team's behalf 24/7. And for those workers, you don't want to authenticate a user because there's no user in the loop. You need an app token, and that's a stable scope credential the AI worker holds, and that gives it exactly the access it needs and nothing more. You get to define the scope, you get to control the permissions, and the AI worker operates within those bounds every single time. Now, the fundamental promise of Universal Connector is any system. So if your system has an API, it doesn't matter how old, how niche, how custom, an AI worker can connect to it. Legacy ERP from 2004, no problem. Internal order management system. If you got an API, it's not a problem. A database your team built in-house, all connectable. And we did this because most enterprises and mid-market sized companies, and even startups, frankly, aren't running on one or two clean SaaS platforms. They're running on 15 different systems. Many of them have years of system and architectural debt, and Universal Connector means we don't ask you to clean any of that up. Your AI workers operate in the environment that you actually have. So In conclusion, Universal Connector is three things working together: flexible connection protocols that meet systems where they are, governance controls that give you confidence and get the nod, wink, and approval from your IT team, and a permission model purpose-built for AI that runs without or with humans in the loop. This is how you build AI workers that actually do work versus AI that sits behind a chat box waiting to be asked.